Welcome everybody back to the Lamont Tyson Politics of Being Black in America. And we are back to talk a little bit more politics. I got the big homie TJ is going to join me today. We haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, so it's going to be very spicy today. We are going to talk about Trump and Elon. We're going to talk about people trying to put religion in schools. And then we've got a couple of surprises for you. Get ready, get set. It's time to go.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. The Don Juan, and I'm not using pun, of TikTok. The big homie TJ. And for you MAGA folks that try to give him trouble, okay? I don't ever want to hear y'all mistake TJ with JT. He is not a jive turkey. Y'all wouldn't be able to pick out a fucking jive turkey if you was in Hillshire Farms factory and you saw turkeys without legs. This is TJ, my folks. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. I like that Hillshire Farms line. That's pretty good. That's good stuff. You know, I was driving the other day. When was it? It was last weekend, actually. I think it was on Sunday. And I saw on the interstate the Oscar Mayer Wiener mobile. Have you ever actually seen that in real life? I drove right next to it. Yeah, it was that was a pretty. I was actually a pretty bad example of a driver, and I took a video of it. I said, "Oh, look at that! I haven't seen that in the years, I think." And I sent it to my girlfriend, and she sent a text back that said #worst driver, but she spelled worst like bratwurst, which is really clever and funny. Yeah, that was great. Yeah. That was funny. So yeah, that was good. I like the Hillshire Farm reference. But no, I'm glad to be back, man. I missed not being on the show last week, so I'm really happy to get an opportunity.
Hey, we appreciate you, brother. No, even if you're not here, you could believe that I am 10 toes down in politics. I'm immersing myself in it. I'm bringing on other guests. I've got some politicians coming on. I'm trying to build our growth. And I really have a special thank you to TJ and Claire, because these two knew that this was a transition for me, and they didn't know me from a hill of beans. Hell, I could have been an op, and they said, we're going to give you a try. And I'm so grateful that as I'm going through this upswing, they're giving me a try. And we're going to get y'all straight to the show. Remember, this is a podcast too. That's the link for the podcast. And I got some new technology now where if you guys want to leave us a voice message, if you have a computer or a cell phone, that link right there is how you can voice us a message. You start leaving us some good stuff, we'll start reading it on the air.
Wow.
Yes, we will.
Wow.
Yes, we will. We'll play it on the air. Excuse me. TJ, you know how I start this show off. It is that time. Politicking while being black in America, living under MAGA. What you got for us this week? What is your petty grievance while living under MAGA?
All right. First, I want to say bold move with the voice memo messaging there. That could turn out some pretty interesting content. I love this idea. That might I can easily see the haters jumping on there and leaving some choice, which would make good content as well. Ironically, right. I do like when people leave like the nasty comments and stuff, because it's just stuff that fuels us. It's great. Now, the politicking while black petty grievance that I have today, I don't know if this is permitted. So let me know if it's not, because this one isn't necessarily specific to black people. In fact, it probably happens to black people less than any other minority in the group. But you'll see what I'm talking about here. This weekend, I was early this week, I was out of my job, and there was an Asian woman who was with a company I worked with, or that I was working alongside. And a client that we were talking to was an older white gentleman, looked about 75 years old or something. He was actually retired from his position. He was filling in for someone else because he had the information we needed. And after we got done, we spent like 2 hours together getting everything we needed and stuff. As we were done, he went over to the Asian woman who was there, and he says, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name." And she said, "Oh, my name is so-and-so." And then he asked her, "So where are you from?" And yes, he said, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "Well, the Philippines, but I'm actually from this part of Indiana," or whatever, because she knew what he meant. And as I saw that, I thought, wow, that is I haven't seen that in a while. I actually haven't seen that in a while, where someone comes up to someone who's not white who seems ethnic of some type say, oh, hey, where are you from? You can't say, oh, I'm from Kansas. Oh, I'm from, I'm from Arizona. No, they mean, what country are your ancestors from? It's like, God, that is rude as fuck. Now, that could happen to black people too. It's probably less likely than like an Asian person or something, but it could. And so that one jumped out at me because there's some good old school racism that I haven't seen in a long time. Because like, I feel like because he was just almost 80 years old, maybe he hasn't caught on, but it's like, yeah, you can't do that, man. That's not cool. So that one's mine. It stuck in my mind all week. It's like, oh, I definitely got to mention this on the show.
Let's talk about that. That is racist and it's borderline.
Yeah.
I think there's some gray area in it because I think a lot of people have curiosity about people's background. So would a better way to approach someone like that to ask them, instead of saying, where are you from? Could you ask them, may I ask you, what is your heritage?
Yes, yes.
And if they go into, my heritage is, Japanese, whatever, then you'll kind of get that answer. But I think people do have a curiosity if you're not from America sometimes, where are you from? And I think that if you think so and you agree with it, I think a better way for those listening to ask someone that looks like they may not be from here, ask them what is their heritage first. Don't run up on them. Where you from?
Yeah. So I put a lot of thought into this because I made this mistake once.
Me too.
I'll never forget it. A friend of mine, one of my best friends in college, and I met his sister. And I didn't know it was his sister, I guess, because I knew her, my friend. And so, but their family was Guatemalan. And so I met her and I was talking to her and I asked her, where are you from? This is 20 years ago or so, but I asked, where are you from? And she said, oh, I'm from, this town. And I was like, well, that's not what. Then I said it again. I said, oh no, what am I doing? Well, what am I doing here? And so I've never forgotten that. And I thought about this too, like what's a polite way to do this? Now, I think there are levels you have to worry about here because if someone has an accent, it's a lot easier because like, oh, hey, where's your accent from? That's easy. Boom. There's nothing rude about that whatsoever because, I obviously knows you have an accent. You're not going to deny it. Where did you pick it up? And then you can kind of decipher it from there. The worst version of that is asking, what are you? I've heard people say that before too. And I've never found a time when that was acceptable. But honestly, if someone doesn't have a discernible accent or maybe article of clothing, I don't know if there is a polite way. Because if it's someone I don't know, right? Maybe if I know this person, I could. But in that situation where he didn't know this lady, she didn't have an accent. There was nothing to say that, she wasn't born in the United States. And to say, hey, where are you from? Or even what your heritage is, that's kind of tricky. It's like, well, who are you? Why are you asking me about my cultural background? So that's kind of tricky. But I think if there's like an obvious giveaway where it wouldn't be considered rude, that you could tell that this person was at least born somewhere else, there's a way around that. But otherwise, I don't know. It's kind of tricky. That's a good question, though, because you don't want to, it's nothing rude about trying to ask about someone, but you don't want to get too personal in the first meeting.
So the way that this was made aware to me, back in my day, in college days, I was real big into video games. And there was this young hottie who looked Asian.
Always. Look at that. Same situation.
At Best Buy. And I would always go buy my games. And every time I buy my games, somehow I know that I get in her line. So we got to talking about what games I'd like to play, blah, blah, blah. And I asked her, I said, well, where are you from? And she bust out laughing. Because she knew I was asking, are you from Japan? You from Asia? You from Colombia? She's going to say to me, boy, I'm from Goldsboro, North Carolina.
There you go.
And I said, you know what I mean? And that's when she told me there's a better way. Now, I don't know if she's speaking for everybody, but in that moment, she said, there's a better way for you to ask me, where am I from? And I said, well, what is that? Ask me where is my lineage or my heritage is from. And she was like, that's not going to offend most people from Colombia. That's what she told me. And so from that day, if I'm in a grocery line, or if I have a server, or if I'm checking out, or someone's making small talk in the elevator and I'm curious about their heritage, I'll ask them, where does your heritage lead? Where does it come from? And they'll usually give you a good answer. And most people have been thankful that I asked it that way. So that's just been my experience. Yeah, but them girls get you in trouble, bro. And they'll teach you a thing or two too. So TJ,
Yeah.
now we'll bring you to my petty grievance of the week, my politicking while being black, my brother, Lord Jesus Christ.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, TJ, my issue this week is the little dick energy coming from the fucking White House. Going back and forth with Elon. This is supposed to be our highest office, and some would even say the most powerful office in the world. And you're up there going back and forth on social media with a man that you clearly knew was the way he was when you got there. Then y'all unfriending each other and shit. That is, if that's not little dick energy, I don't know what it is. And then the vendetta going back and forth. Real killers move in silence. They don't got to tell you their penis is big. They just run up on you and slap the hell out of you like it's some salami in aisle number 7 at Food Lion. But this petty beef between Trump and Elon, not only does it make us look, it makes America look bad, it also makes us look weak. It makes us look weak. It's embarrassing. This party and Trump and MAGA have been an embarrassment. And that's my petty grievance of the week. Why are we looking so petty and so weak that we have to go back and forth with a citizen online? Now, if I'm going between Elon and Trump, the expectation is that the Oval Office is going to set a better standard than a regular citizen. That's the expectation, but not when the occupant of the expectation has the mental capacity of a fifth grader. We shouldn't expect that. But either way, TJ, it's still bad. Tell me, am I wrong with my feelings of the little dick energy coming out of the White House, making us all look bad?
Well, if you'll pull up the tweet I have here, I just shared.
Okay.
This is from Jack Posobiec, and he disagrees with you, Lamont. He says, some of y'all can't handle two high agency males going at it, and it really shows. This is direct communication, phallocentric, versus indirect communication, gynocentric. I understand you aren't used to it. Now, Jack Posobiec is a disgusting right-wing grifter of the highest order, or the lowest order, I guess I should say. And so it's really funny seeing them trying to defend this. Actually, this isn't like 9-year-old girl behavior. This is full-grown man behavior. This is how two alpha males duke it out by subtweeting and passively aggressively attacking each other on two different platforms. By the way, that's what makes it so great. They're actually not talking directly to each other at all. Trump posts on Truth Social that he owns.
Lies Social.
Yeah. And Elon posts on Twitter, which he owns, talking about each other without talking, directly to each other. It's cowardly and it's weak and pathetic. I mean, you're correct. In most situations, people would expect the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, the most powerful person on the planet, to show a little class and dignity, but no one expects this from Trump. Like, this is exactly what we expect from Trump. And it's what we expect from Elon Musk, too. And many people have said it. I'm not the first person since it's come out, but I don't want to hear another word about how women are too emotional to be in charge, about how women couldn't possibly handle the pressure of running a business or leading a country when you have two grown men acting like this.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. I didn't want to use AOC's quote about the two girls or whatever her quote was are having a fit. But that's exactly what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let us know how you feel about our petty grievances. And if you've got one that's strong enough, you can leave it right here and we will play the petty grievance voicemail right here on the show next time TJ's here. So TJ, what you got for us this week? What's the first subject you want to cover under your docket this week?
All right. I don't know if you wanted to go into more detail about the Trump and Musk thing, but I can't get enough of this. I cannot get enough of the Trump and Musk fight. Yeah, good.
So I guess we're going to overlap because one of my main stories that I picked is the Trump Musk angle. But let's see what your angle is first, then we'll go to mine because I'll tell you mine up front. Mine is more so about what could be the ramifications if these two continue to go at it with each other and what Musk could wind up doing versus what Trump could wind up doing. That's my angle.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of gonna do. That's funny. We probably read each other's mind because I thought you'd go a different route. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go after. Did you see when Elon made that tweet saying that we need a third party? Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no.
I'll go ahead and pull that
Okay.
up then. I'll go ahead and
All right,
pull
let's
that up
pull it
then.
up.
All
And
right.
for those of you that don't know, we used to have three parties way back when this country first started. We did have an additional party called the Whig Party. And as a matter of fact, George Washington himself made quotes about why the country needed three parties versus two, but y'all see that shit died out real quick. Here we go. There you go, TJ.
All right. So Musk tweeted out, it's like, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? And this is what I like to call like my favorite dumb guy tweet. Guys say this all the time. It's like, you know what would solve the problem? A third party. If we had a third party that just got you have the wild extreme 10% to the left and the wild extreme 10% to the right. And if only we had a party that represented all us normal people in the middle, we could take control. We got the numbers. And whenever I hear this, I always respond with, it's odd that whenever this is suggested, it's never followed by a list of policies this third party would adhere to. That never happens. It never, because it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as this all-encompassing party that could solve everyone's problems. And with the Washington thing, so Washington didn't say that we needed a third party. Washington said he didn't want any parties, is what Washington said, which is
that was his quote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's funny about this, sorry for the folks running off, I do this, my rabbit trails and everything.
You're good.
But when the country was founded, everyone that was involved, right, in the Constitution and everything, they didn't have political parties in mind. They didn't think they were necessary. They thought that most leaders, most men of status in this political climate would more or less have the same ideas of how the country should look. They all thought we kind of agree on everything, and then we just vote for the best person for the job. And that's why back then, the president and vice president didn't run together. The person who got the most votes was the president. The person who got the second most votes was vice president, because they would agree on everything anyway. Well, who cares if they're first and second? And Washington said that he thought political parties would fracture the country and divide them. And at the time, we already had political parties. We had the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And George Washington is what I like to call like the first enlightened centrist. He did everything the Federalists said, but didn't claim to be one. And it's like, okay, buddy, this is just, you're just pretending that you're not a Federalist when you are. But yeah, the Whigs, they come about, and we've had third parties all throughout American history. They just very rarely get anywhere because of the way our system is set up. But this annoys me. I don't know if it annoys you as much as me. Oh, actually, you're involved in politics. Yeah, a lot. And so, like, when people say, man, if only we had a third party, like, first off, we already do. There are dozens of third parties out there, and they're not getting anywhere. Every now and then one makes some waves or something, but with the first past the post elections we have and the lack of ranked choice voting, I don't think third parties are gaining steam anytime soon. And even if we did have three strong political parties, I would prefer that. I prefer 6 or 7, honestly. But the idea that, well, the Democrats and the Republicans are so crazy, and all us normal people, the 75, 85% who aren't wild, we would all agree. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. That would never happen. What do you think?
My issue when people say that is that it's two things. Number one, they're being hypocrites, and number two, they're always trying to create this straw man argument that they know is not going to happen unless you have someone who has the power and political will to make it happen. The other issue is whenever I hear somebody say that, the only people that ever say that shit is fucking Republicans. Now, I know Democrats do say it. But in my experience, it's mostly Republicans. And the person that you just showed that tweeted that, who did his ass vote for and then contributed $330 million to the Republican Party? Same thing. So, like, we have the Green Party.
Yep.
And I know people who are kind of in that Ron Paul space who really and truly vote Green Party. I do. I know 3 prominent rich people that have been voting the Green Party because they really and truly don't like what each one of the other parties stand for. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Me and TJ understand that the same corporate financial apparatus that is in place that controls one party, controls the other one. The issue is the issue comes into how do we get to what the ultimate goal is for each party? Historically, the policies of Democrats, and before y'all go and hit me with they used to be the Dixiecrats, we know that shit. Stop it. We already done discussed that, me and TJ. We done discussed that. The policies typically are for the working people, the poor people, the middle class. Versus when you go to the Republican Party, their corporate donors want their taxes lowered. They want the rules that help the middle class lowered so that instead of them having a safety net that can help them make it in life, they want to just be beholden to the corporate folks that put these rules in place and get these tax breaks. And so when I hear that argument, TJ, I just think that unless you're about it, unless you're putting your money behind it, unless you're actually voting what you say, it's just a straw man argument. And there's several that Republicans love to throw in your face that, in my opinion, are nothing but straw man arguments. They say the shit and they're not going to do it. Everybody, welcome TJ's Flirkin. There's the Flirkin.
Flirkin, good. Yeah. This Flirkin's name is Wolfie. He's very dangerous. Careful.
Wolfie, ladies and gentlemen. He can if some of y'all are holding an infinity cube and you need it to be stuffed in a cat and taken out of space, we got your cat for you right there.
Got it covered.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Very good, very good. Yeah,
man.
Have you this is another thing that you mentioned how Republicans say it a lot. Because there are third party people on the left. You'll have your Green Party folks, like you mentioned, the Jill Stein voters, and on the right, you'll have your libertarians, your like Ron and Rand Paul, stuff like that. But they're a minority. It doesn't really happen terribly often. Nope. But another thing I noticed this from Republicans, I bet you've seen it too, is you point out something bad that the GOP is doing, and you're saying, hey, the Republicans like this Trump's one big beautiful bill. By the way, I don't know if we talked about it last time. The one big beautiful bill, I always thought that was a nickname for Trump's legislation. It's the actual name. Like a couple weeks ago, I saw that its actual name, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. This country is a joke. But you point out that, hey, Trump's budget, Republicans are always talking about the deficit. The deficit's bad, blah, blah, blah. And Trump is raising the deficit by nearly $3 trillion. And when they're cornered, they say, well, both parties are bad. Both sides are bad. And it's like, okay, that's rather convenient, because when you're pointing out the bad stuff the left does, I never hear you say both sides are bad. It's only when I mention how bad the right is that you deflect and say, well, both are bad. And here's the thing. Yes, I agree. Both parties are bad. They are not equally bad. It is ridiculous to assume they're equally bad. And you know that too. Like you mentioned with Elon Musk. Before the election, Elon said, what did he say? He says, I am to the right wing of the Democratic Party and the left wing of the Republican Party. I am a sensible, common sense, middle of the road American. But when the rubber hits the road, he's voting right. He's voting red. That's what all these folks are. Like 80% of the time when you hear someone say both parties are bad, they're just conservatives who are too ashamed to admit it, too cowardly to admit it.
Exactly. So TJ, you've experienced the same thing I've experienced. Same exact thing. Same exact thing. Let me continue this Elon Trump issue. I'm gonna take you down the road I want to go down, and I got a little clip that kind of surmises how this thing got started and where we're at today. Thank you for clarifying that George Washington thing, because I interpreted it completely wrong. It made it to me when I read it. When I read it in the book, it felt like he was arguing we needed more than two parties. But I'm glad you clarified that for me. And I will never forget that. But we've got a situation right now, ladies and gentlemen, where we've got legitimately the tech bros are ganging up against Trailer Park MAGA when it comes to Elon versus Trump. And we're going to play it. We want you guys to let us know what you think. Here we go.
There it is. Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House and Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate. Such ingratitude. Donald Trump didn't like that. He said, I would have won Pennsylvania regardless of Elon. I'm very disappointed with Elon.
Newsweek is reporting that Russia offers political asylum to Elon Musk over Trump feud. Oh, and some food for thought as they ponder this question. Trump has 3.5 years left as president, but I will be around for 40 plus years. Bigger picture, we're really watching Trump, Bannon, Miller versus Musk, Till, Vance. And then Sammy opines, who would Putin prefer? Absolutely telling that at JD Vance taking a walk on defending real Donald Trump against Elon. And then the next tweet. Okay, so JD Vance, I'm sure pumps under pressure from Stephen Miller, did what I feel like is the bare minimum. JD Vance puts up on Twitter, President Trump has done more than any person in my lifetime to earn the trust of the movement he leads. I'm proud to stand behind him.
TJ, my fear with this is the tech bros they've never liked Trump, and MAGA has never liked tech bros. It is what it is. But what happened was they saw a situation where the two could come together and use Trump as a useful idiot, which he is, and Putin and all of our enemies know that Trump is a useful idiot. There has been rumblings in the Republican Party because the person that has been groomed, ladies and gentlemen, by big tech or right-wing tech is JD Vance. Y'all remember JD Vance was a Democrat. JD Vance wrote a book called Hillbillyology that just trashed Trump and MAGA. Then all of a sudden he goes to a weekend love camp with Peter Thiel. I guess Peter Thiel shoved his penis right in his hind parts, yanked it out good enough that next thing I know, JD Vance is coming back. He's a Republican, and all he wants to do is help tech. I easily see tech calling for this impeachment because they want to get Trump out the way. They don't want everything they got right now, and they see that this fight between Elon and Trump could make some issues tougher for the people that want to grow tech. And I was telling my wife yesterday, TJ, you would think that Trump has the upper hand because he's sitting in the most powerful seat in the White House. That's what you would think. Here's the problem. Elon Musk, for the longest time, has been fraternizing with Putin because he's got those satellites he put up in the air that Russia loves to use, and he's been fraternizing with China. I wake up today, I see that quote, Russia is offering Elon asylum. Not to mention, there is reports that a lot of that Doge information that Elon collected, Russia has gotten some of the passwords. So we are super compromised. And I think that this could be the issue that could really, really harm America if this fight between Elon and Trump continues to happen. Because Elon could go mess with two crazy dictators that hate America in China and Russia, and he can dictate the terms that they set with America. And when I say dictate the terms, the ultimate terms go through a person who has a 5th grade level education in Donald Trump. And when you add all that alphabet soup together, TJ, I don't see how we get out of this thing unscathed. What say you, my brother?
I guess I would. I don't know. Like, let's say Elon gets his way in this spat and he wins, or Trump gets his way in the spat and he wins. I don't know what the functional difference would be. I guess that's what because both of them like Putin. If the goal is to damage the United States in every way, I just don't know how much more damage Elon would do than Trump. Like where do you think the damage would come from?
So there are a couple of areas. Number one, let's start with China. We're in a tariff. I don't even want to call it a war. I'm gonna say we're in a tariff verbal issue with China. Yeah. Elon has been losing car sales in China like Nail Carter lost weight before they came up with Ozempic. He could easily go assert his influence in China and say that I'll share some of these rare minerals I have in some of my other places that you guys need, and stick it to Trump, jack those tariffs up, don't make no negotiations with Trump. That hurts Trump because it makes him look bad, but ultimately those tariffs get passed down to the American people because they are taxes on the American people. And Elon is already filthy rich. He doesn't give a shit about that. Then we move on to Russia. Elon is playing two-handed fists with this. He's got satellites that supply Russia, and he's got satellites supplying Ukraine. He could easily just say, Putin, let's turn the heat up on America. Let me kind of lower what I'm doing in terms of the satellites that I have with Ukraine. I increase yours, and then we'll make you put the onus more on Trump to make him look bad. And to some level, how bad is Trump willing to look as far as a strong man? Because the thing that gets to Trump, he's got his ego. He likes to look like a strong man. And if Elon is in Putin's ear telling him to make Trump look small, how much fighting back do you think Trump would do? Or will he just let Putin make him look bad, which is the worst thing you can do to Donald Trump? That's what I'm saying Elon Musk could do behind the scenes, rather.
This is interesting because I don't know if I have a different view. And this is, I got into a discussion with my co-host, John Cooper, in Counterpoint Politics on the left wing, because he's more with you on this. I don't think Elon's going to win this. I don't think he is.
Really?
No, I don't. I hadn't heard about the wrinkle with Putin offering asylum.
Let me give you this real quick before you go. Let me give you the data.
Sure.
All right. So here's a little bit of the data that kind of backlogs what's been going on between Putin and Trump. And this all comes from PBS and NPR, you dumbasses, vetted sources. Excuse me. Musk has reportedly been in a regular contact with Vladimir Putin since late 2022, raising red flags about mixing private sector influence with high-stakes geopolitics. Concerns focus on national security, which we just talked about. Doge got all that information, and we are worried how much of that did you give to Russia, considering Musk companies have sensitive U.S. government contracts and security clearances. And I won't read all of them, so let me go down here to Reuters, whistleblower, Russian IP hacking attempts. A whistleblower from the NLRB revealed Doge staffers' access potentially led to infiltration of sensitive case data. Unusually long showed attempt logins from Russian IP, including corrected credentials. So I give you that, TJ. And there's a second part to it that concludes it, but I've given you the fundamental data for how I came to my thought process. So it's your turn.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is I don't see anything happening that would damage Donald Trump with his cult followers. I don't think there's anything. I genuinely don't. We spent months hearing them say, I don't care if the stock market crashes. I don't care if I lose my job. I don't care if the tariffs work at all. We trust Trump. I just don't see any scenario where Trump loses his influence on the base, which is really what matters. Because like you mentioned earlier, the Republicans who know what they're talking about, the Republicans like the professionals, the donors, the politician class, the conservative intelligentsia, to the extent that even exists, they've never liked Trump. They've never been a big fan of Trump. Yeah, they despise him, but they're forced to accept him because the people who matter, the ones who vote in the primaries, who actually get them elected, love him. Trump.
He's a useful idiot for them too, basically.
Well, they're idiots as well, so it works out just fine, doesn't it? Yeah. Right. So yeah, right. They work. I have never seen a politician as beloved by their base as Donald Trump. I've never, even when Obama at the height of his powers didn't have a committed following like Trump has. They wear his hats, they tattoo his name on their bodies. I mean, they will do anything for this guy. And like in a battle of the Trump cult versus the Musk cult, I think the Trump cult wins every single time. Now, the damage that can be done, like you mentioned with Russia, once it's the same thing, I don't see how that would be different than if Elon didn't do it. Like everything that given the information from Doge to them, Trump would do that. Trump would have no problem doing that. And so the damage, Trump would weather that storm. And with China, I don't know. I'm not so sure if Elon would play ball, specifically because what's Elon? Elon has all these companies. He's got SpaceX, he's got Tesla, but his baby is Tesla. Tesla is the one that I think is the nearest and dearest to his heart that he really cares about. and Tesla is tanking big time. Tesla,
Mhm.
like Europe, barred sales of the Cybertruck. We could do a whole episode about the Cybertruck and what a nightmare that thing was. But one of the biggest competitors for not only electric vehicles but also Elon's dream of what is it called? Hands for full self-driving vehicles is China. And the batteries thing you mentioned. And like Biden put a 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs because
Right.
they were, you remember, because they were hurting our market here. So
And they're actually better cars, to be
they're
honest with you.
better.
'Cause,
They're much
like,
better. Yes.
if they were cheaper, I would. Or so there's people that follow me for stocks. You've heard me talk about Neo, and I'm sorry to interject. I just
No,
want
go
to
ahead.
let people know what you mean when we talk about their EVs are better. You've got Neo, you've got Lee, and you got BYD. Fantastic cars, easier on the eyes, and they charge better, and they are significantly cheaper if we didn't have those tariffs and all the handling fees to get them here.
Yes. Yeah. And so they are in direct competition with Musk. They have a better product than Musk. He could just sell out and say, okay, well, I'm going in on the Chinese now and trying to help them out. But, Trump could limit that too. There's nothing that he could do to stop that. So I don't see how he wins there. Now, I might be wrong. Like Trump might lose to Musk, but I would, as I said, Trump has vanquished men far more competent than Elon Musk over time. I mean, look, I have no respect for Trump at all, but he's beaten every conservative that's run across him, and he's beaten 2 out of the 3 Democrats. I mean, the guy, I don't believe Elon Musk is going to be the guy who's like, aha, I've got it. I'm going to crush Trump now. He hasn't shown me that kind of competency, but we'll see. I don't know. It's interesting.
I think it comes down to what you mean when you say crush Trump.
Yeah.
To crush Trump, you've got to hurt his ego.
Mhm.
And I think Elon can do. Trump has never had to battle the richest man in the world by far.
Mhm.
And yes, Tesla is the baby. Tesla is the baby, and they're supposed to be getting ready to come out with the robo-taxi unveiling in
Oh,
Austin,
boy.
Texas, either the end of this month or
Yeah,
July.
sometime this month. Yeah.
But Musk is getting paid significant contracts for SpaceX and the Boring Company and the satellite company, which is Russia don't care about the car. They want that satellite technology. That's what's giving them contact to contact via their communications devices in Russia and in Ukraine. China wants to know a little bit more about how he was able to put those things in place. And America has just kind of been like, keep it here. We don't need to be fraternizing with them. And I could just see that this could be a stain to make Trump say uncle to a small degree if Elon can embarrass him and hurt his ego using Putin and Xi, president of China.
Okay, yeah, because I guess we should define what do we mean by Trump losing, and if Trump losing is taking a political hit or a PR hit, he's taken it before. I think he can do it. Yeah, it's because John was saying something that he think that Trump could be impeached. I just no chance. Or impeached or removed. No, that's where I guess I was going with that. That we've been down this road before. There's no way they're getting 17, 18 Republicans in the Senate to convict him and get him tossed out. No. Yeah. So yeah.
Honestly, I could see it, but it doesn't affect me because all we're doing is getting more evil. We're getting JD Vance to put in place the technological oligarchs. That's who would do it. And the 17 Republicans you're talking about, 15 of them's biggest donors are Peter Thiel and that nut crack that runs what's the name of that? Palantir. That's some of their biggest donors. So they would love to take Trump out, inject JD Vance, but that wouldn't help us.
No,
it wouldn't do anything.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be fun to see. I did you see that we didn't even mention the fact that once Musk finally broke down, it was funny to watch it happen in real time. So for those of you wondering, Elon Musk left the White House last week. I think it was last week. Yeah. So I didn't even know this until it happened, but he was hired under a special stipulation. It's called a special government employee, which is a position in which you work for the federal government as a civilian on 130 days. That's the length of your contract or whatever. And Trump announced that Elon was leaving, but then it came out that, oh yeah, they just didn't renew his contract. Oh, your 130 days are up, time to go. And then Elon kind of sat and kind of like did these like soft attacks on the administration. And then one day he just came right out and said, I can't hold it in any longer. This budget that Trump has proposed is going to balloon the deficit. This is an abomination, I think he said. And then he just kept going. The hits just kept rolling after that, getting to the point where he said, I'm going to drop the bomb now. The real reason that the Epstein files haven't been released is because Donald Trump is on the Epstein files. Just calling Trump a pedophile like that. And it was like, whoa, this guy's really crashing out here. So it has been really funny watching Republicans talk about this and say, oh, well, they're just playing, 5D chess here. They're making you think that they say that like Trump and Elon, Nancy Mace, our favorite congresswoman, she said that, oh, look at this. Now the Democrats are calling for the Epstein files to be released. Great job, Trump and Musk. You guys played them like fiddles. No, that's not what's going on here. It's funny watching them like reach and cope for this. But yeah, but anyway, the reason I brought up the Epstein thing is he deleted that tweet today. He took it down. He's like, oh yeah, today he took down the tweet saying that calling Trump a pedophile. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be fun.
I'll follow up that with you. Well, Trump already done said it's too late.
Yes, he did.
Elon walked some other things.
Nope.
Elon walked some other things back Friday too, in terms of talking about that bill. And Trump's like, it's too late. Now, what did Elon think? Trump is petty. Trump pettier, more petty than 50 Cent. What did you think? And secondly, everybody already knew that Trump is in that Epstein file. He's been when they had Ghislaine Maxwell on trial and they had to pull those airplane logs, Trump's name was up there 7 times. We already knew this shit. We knew he's a pedophile. And when you signed up and gave your $300 million to his ass, you knew he was a pedophile too. So I mean, don't just act like this is brand new. We already knew this shit. The thing that strikes me is all of a sudden now Elon want to talk about how bad this bill is with the budget, instead of talking about how bad this bill is for hurting the middle class and poor.
Yeah.
And Elon, MAGA never liked you. I don't know if you know that. MAGA and those hard racists you decided to wrap your ass in the cloak of, they never liked you. And the people that did like you, you've alienated yourself from them. You don't really have a base right now, Elon. Trump is never going to lose the MAGA cult because they so in the name of Jesus, they think it's Trump. And you have got to work to repair the good work that you claim you're doing for the world. You got some work to do, buddy, and it's going to take you possibly having to help some Democrats that can get you back in good graces, because right now you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And I can see, like I said, I can definitely see Elon wigging out one night and figuring out that, look, Trump and them not going to let me back in. Do I really want to eat crow and come running back to the Democratic Party? Or do I want to just be a meddler and go to Russia and China? That's what we got to wait and see.
Yeah, we do. That's a great point. You brought up that, Elon's complaint about the bill wasn't about the fact that it would, cut countless people off of Medicaid, take healthcare from folks, would damage working class people while giving yet another transfer of wealth to the richest people in the country. But his complaint about it was supposedly the deficit spending, which we all knew that was going to happen. When you cut taxes like that, of course the deficit is going to go up. How could it not? Yes. And Trump was mad at Elon because he promised to find $2 trillion of waste with Doge. And then after 3 months, he says, well, at the end of this year, we might have $100 billion to cut, which is 10 times less than he promised, 20 times less than he promised. And maybe Trump was dumb enough to think there was actually $2 trillion of wasteful spending, and instead of finding just random things they didn't care about. But what Trump said that what Elon was really mad about was the fact that Trump's bill took away the subsidies for electric vehicles, which is Elon Musk's baby. Like Tesla was getting tons of free government money every time they sold electric vehicles, in tax cuts and everything. So yeah, that's his real complaint about it. And so that's interesting. I've heard this. I've heard a lot of people mention this, that now that Elon is an enemy of Trump and everything, where he's going to go now. Because you're right, like the Republican Party, if you go back in time, 8 years, they all hated Elon Musk because he was selling electric vehicles, which is some cuck lib shit. Why are you buying electric vehicles? We need gas guzzlers. They hated that. And then he came out and said, well, actually, I'm a white supremacist and I love Donald Trump. And then, of course, they fell in love with him. But I kind of think he's crossed the Rubicon on this. He's a bit of a man without a country. I mean, like, if you were a Democrat if you're a Democrat running for office, why would you ever associate yourself with Elon Musk? Even though he's this is not an enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing. This is the enemy of my enemy is a racist white genocide, purveyor and a Nazi. He did a Nazi salute in front of hundreds of millions of people. I wouldn't do it. There isn't a check. Well, I would say there's not a check big enough. Hold on, I'll never say that. But be careful with that. But really, I mean, if the person I am supporting and telling people, oh, you should vote for this person, I find out, oh, they took money from Elon Musk, I'm gonna have a hard time defending that. So I mean, then again, a lot of politicians have no soul anyway. But do you think that would work for him if he tried?
The only way it would work is if he apologizes. He tells people he got caught up in the hype of Trump, and he just admits to people that the reason he supported Trump was because he wanted all those injunctions, those lawsuits against him to drop, because he had like 16, 18 of them, and 10 of them possibly was going to put his punk ass in jail. Mm-hmm. And then the real main reason that the rumors are saying is why he's mad, because he knew that those cuts were coming to the electric car. But what Trump and them decided not to do, he had his Ace Boone Coon from SpaceX that was supposed to become the head of NASA, and he was gonna float more money to Elon from the NASA budget, because SpaceX and NASA are two separate contracts. They contract with SpaceX, but NASA has its own budget, and then they give money to SpaceX. And Trump said, no, we're not putting your boy as the head of NASA. Mm-hmm. And that's what they said was the final straw that made that camel fall down. But Elon, if he wants to get back in good graces, he's got to do something that he's not capable of doing. He's got to show humility. He's got to say what he did. Basically what black people want white Americans in the GOP to do here. Admit that there was slavery, say that you're sorry, give us some fucking reparations, and that is the road to redemption. That's the recipe for Elon. That's the recipe for Elon. Same recipe. So y'all let us know what you think, y'all. Be sure to leave us a voicemail. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on your phone. The link is right there. Download the podcast. Go check out TJ on his TikTok. His link is in the description. He does a great job. He keeps me entertained and enlightened during the week when I'm stressing sometimes dealing with living under MAGA. TJ, I got a religious thing for you, my brother.
Let's go. Can't wait.
I got one for you, man. And this stuff tears me up because I've got young children. My daughter just graduated pre-K and she's going on to elementary school. And when I see stuff like this, it makes me not want to move to any red state. Take a look at this.
What is the fourth commandment?
Keep the Sabbath.
Part of keeping the Sabbath holy is not working on the Sabbath?
That is, yeah.
What day is the Jewish Sabbath?
It is on Saturday.
And what day is it today?
It is Saturday. Here we are.
The Christian Sabbath is what day?
Sunday, in honor of the day that Jesus rose from the dead.
And we're scheduled to give this bill a final vote on what day of the week?
It's ironic, isn't it?
Would you be willing to postpone your bill so that we're not breaking the Ten Commandments by working on the Jewish or Christian Sabbath?
I love that you said that, because
you're saying that you'd rather tell people to follow the Ten Commandments than follow it yourself?
I would have rather have had this bill passed the other day when it was time.
We as a legislature are about to force every teacher in the state to post the Ten Commandments in their classrooms.
If they are donated.
Do members of the Texas legislature follow the Ten Commandments?
So again, this bill is about honoring our historical, educational, and judicial heritage with the displaying of the Ten Commandments.
The ninth commandment is thou shalt not bear false witness. Are you aware of any legislators who have lied about anything?
That is, There might be one coming up in a minute if you keep talking. We'll see.
The seventh commandment is, thou shalt not commit adultery.
Yes.
Do you think that members of the legislature should focus more on trying to follow the Ten Commandments rather than telling others to follow them?
Maybe they didn't have them posted. I am, it is incumbent on all of us to follow God's law.
TJ, we so need more Democrats to do that shit he just did. And he did it so much more nicer than what I would have done it. But having said that, you are my resident on debunking how they try to inject their white nationalist Christian policies into law. When you saw this, because I know you've seen it before now, what did you think about this? And, I'll tackle the one about the schooling because that bothers me pretty bad.
Yes. So I do love seeing this because it is insulting. I find it insulting as someone who grew up religious and studied this, went to a religious school, or religious institution of higher education. And I'm no longer religious. I don't believe in God anymore. But it's because I put in the work. Okay. I actually studied this stuff. I know what I'm talking about. And to see people who know less about this than I have forgotten about this, pretend that this is a matter of national importance. It's a preeminent thing. We need to just to signify how important this is than rather acting on how important it is. And the Ten Commandments is one of my favorite ones because back when I was a Christian, when I was a kid, we would go knocking door to door every Wednesday after school. Every Wednesday after school, a bunch of like 8th graders would pile into a van. They drop us off on individual streets, 2 by 2. We go knocking down the doors, inviting people to our church. And then they came back and picked us up 45 minutes later. Incredibly unsafe. Can't believe we did this for years. But we, just children, just dropping them off in the middle of nowhere and then coming back.
But TJ, God was protecting y'all.
Oh, that's a good point. I had nothing. I had a hedge of protection around me. I had nothing to fear. And we would talk to people and say, hey, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ is your savior? Would you like to come to our church? And most people would say, oh yeah, I'm saved. I'm a Christian. I already know. And our pastor told us, okay, if they tell you that they've already accepted Christ and that they're good Christians, ask them, well, what did you do to gain your salvation? And they would say, a lot of people would say this. They would say, well, I follow the Ten Commandments. And he says, when they say that, ask them what the first one is. And I've never forgotten that because try that on anyone who tells you that it's a matter of national security that we put the Ten Commandments in classrooms. This is very important to our history. Okay, what's the first commandment? Well, what is it? And 99% of the time, they're not going to be able to tell you. On the off chance someone tells you, then say, okay, well, can you name them all? Can you name all 10? These are very important. Guarantee they won't be able to. And even if they do, this trap goes a long way. Even if they do name all 10, ask them how many of the 10 commandments are laws. How many are laws? You have, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make any graven images. Do not use the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. The first 4 commandments have nothing to do with laws at all. And the Sabbath day, like he mentioned, the Sabbath is Saturday. Not one time does the Bible say the Sabbath is Sunday. Not one time. That it only happened. Yeah, it only happened because that's the day Jesus rose from the dead. So Christians go to church on Sunday. And then the commandments that are actually laws, there's 3. There's thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. And he said bearing false witness is lying, which is kind of true, but the better interpretation is you shall not commit perjury is what bear false witness means. So the other 7 commandments are like, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not covet. Tell me how capitalism works if nobody covets, if no one's jealous of anything. How does capitalism possibly work? It is a farce. It is hilarious. And it's insulting. Like, she did get in one good joke there when he said, do you know any members of this house that have lied? She says, well, if you keep talking in a minute, we might hear one. That was a good comeback. Credit where credit's due. That was pretty funny. But it just bothers me that I see this shit all the time from people telling me how important this stuff is when they don't know it. Or best case scenario, like with her, he led her into all the answers, but it's important to teach, but not important to follow. We're going to work on Saturday. Hell, we'll work on Sunday too. Doesn't really matter. It's insane. I hate it. You really got me going with that shit. You know that always gets me.
Oh, you already know I'm gonna come prepared now.
Yeah.
Man, look, bullshit.
Yes.
For you to try to force this down the throat of children in a school, why are we wasting time, taxpayer money, on putting commandments in there when we should be paying teachers more so that they can be more flexible in the way they teach to kids? Why are we not doing that? This shit is stupid. If someone wants children to know religion, let them do it at home. The 10 Commandments might not even be the religion that some of these kids come to school believing in their household. Why are we wasting time doing this bull job? I'll tell you why. If you can get young people to continue to believe in fairy tales, it makes them more susceptible to believing in the bullshit of the Republican Party. And the people that pull the strings of the Republican Party, as TJ eloquently said, they don't believe in none of this shit. They want you to believe it so they can pull the wolves over your eyes every single time and tell you, honor thy neighbor. Don't take money from the government because God is going to take care of you. Give us what we need. God's going to take care of you. Go give the pastor the 7% that you don't really have because God's going to take care of you. While all the time, ladies and gentlemen, while they collecting your money and writing these laws that beat you down and they're telling you just pray to God, they're sitting back collecting yachts. They're doing everything that the 10 Commandments say you ain't supposed to do, but got you thinking that they're doing it. And now they want to get your kids indoctrinated early. You need to be teaching kids the history of this country so that they can be more affable about what happened, so that they can understand how this country needs to work more to make sure everybody's included. And you can just do that from a financial standpoint instead of this bull job. And that's my rant on it, man. And that bitch ain't know nothing about the Bible herself. I mean, the very fact that her makeup was the way it was tell me she's not a Christian. The very fact that I mean, God don't want you messing up your temple. That's in the Bible too. Man, her makeup looked like something you wouldn't see ancient Egyptians put on. You look mummified, bitch. No, God don't want no parts of that. And people, educate your kids on the difference between religion and what they need to be learning in terms of what's in school. They need critical thinking skills, period.
Yes. The funny thing is that there's no one who would be in higher favor of teaching religion in schools than me. I believe religion should absolutely be taught in schools. Like, hey, these are the world religions. These are very important historical and cultural and philosophical matters that have shaped human history. That is undeniable. But that's not what they want. They don't want that. They don't want you to say, they don't want that at all. They don't want you to say, well, this is Taoism, this is Zoroastrianism, this is Christianity, this is Islam, these are spiritual beliefs from tribal. No, there's like, no, it's not even we're going to teach you Christian history, because that I would be in favor of that too. Yeah, teach Christian history. Like Christianity, for better or worse, is the dominant philosophical a framework through which our Western society kind of grew, like out of that it is like half the people have names that come right out of the Bible, and so there's no denying that's true. But instead of looking at it through the historical framework and how it has evolved and how it shaped history over the years, they're teaching it as fact. No, this is real. Like this is an actual thing. Jesus actually is going to return one day riding a horse and shooting swords out of his mouth. That's going to happen. That's a real thing you need to believe in. And by the way, don't be gay. Ignore the rest of the Old Testament commandments. Don't bother not eating shrimp or eating or not wearing mixed fabrics. You can ignore that stuff. The part that says don't be gay, that's really important. It's insulting. Like, as a former Christian, I find this stuff insulting because these people have no ecclesiastical honesty in this. They're shaping their religion off their politics, which I would see as a massive insult as a believer.
I mean, there are sometimey Christians. When the time fits their narrative, they're a Christian. That's it. Yes. They're not walking the life. And I'm with you. I would love because teaching different groups religion is part of their heritage.
Yes.
It's part of how some of these groups come to be with their laws, with the way they believe, with the way they get down. That's part of it. When we write history books on this country and how we got stuck in this MAGA shit, a lot of it's going to talk about people believing in Christian nationalism. A lot of it's going to talk about that. So I'm all for teaching it, but I'm not for you posting it as if it's the gospel for what these kids need to know in the classroom, and it's only one. I'm not for that. And you don't need to be wasting teachers' money and time on that. So you guys let us know what y'all think. TJ, we got time for one more, my brother. What you got for us?
If you'll indulge me for like 2 more minutes, I have something I shared here. If you see
Okay,
down, I have.
Take your time.
I wanted to pull this up real quick. Is that these are the 5 most Christian states in the union. The states in the union with the highest Christian population. You got Mississippi. You have Mississippi. You got Alabama, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Now, what I'm going to share. I'm going to share the states. We're going to pull it up here. Okay.
I know where he's going.
You're already going with this. Okay, here we go.
I know. Here we go.
All right. So these are the states with the highest rates of gun violence. And you have Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama. 3 states on the most Christian states list. You have New Mexico, then Arkansas. And then this is highest gun homicide rates. Mississippi's there, Louisiana is there, Alabama's there. This is consistent. I can't stress this enough that the most Christian states in this nation are consistently the worst places to live. Being a Christian does not exempt you from being a bad person. Being a Christian and having a predominantly Christian society doesn't mean your society is going to be good. If you look at the places in the world with the lowest amount of gun violence, of sexual. By the way, check the list on this too. All these states have higher rates of teen pregnancies. They have higher rates of STDs, lower college graduation rates. They have higher rates of
worse academic output.
It's
the worst schools in America.
Drug overdoses, child abuse. Christianity isn't stopping. And for the racists out there, I know they're going to say this. I already know it's coming because they say, "Oh, weird that those places have high black populations." Yeah, doesn't that kind of go in? No, it doesn't. All it tells me is that Christianity is not helping black people either. Okay, that's what it tells me. Like Christianity isn't helping anyone in these situations. So I find it rude, not as a believer, but as a non-believer. It's like your society can't exist without Christianity. It's going to fall apart when it turns out the opposite is true. And and this is actually this. I missed. This is I forgot to share. I forgot to share.
Yeah. You got to share the good ones now.
Yeah, don't hold the good ones. I feel bad. Pretend it's 30 minutes ago. But this picture of Elon. This is a picture of Elon Musk when he bought Twitter, and he did this incredibly lame. He brings a sink into the office building. He let that sink in. It's an incredibly lame joke because that's the kind of guy he is. But I have to point out, I don't know when this was. It was like 5-6 years ago or something. Look how much better he looked back then. Like Elon Musk looks like I forgot. I was like, oh wow, he used to look like a normal fucking dude. Now he looks like some sort of troll, right? Like this guy looks like a decent guy, but Elon Musk is like all bloated. He looks like a Cybertruck. Like you ever seen those memes where he has the body shaped like a Cybertruck? Now I was shocked when I saw this, and this wasn't that long ago. So yeah, I just wanted to pull that up here. All right, the clip that I wanted to share. I have no idea if you've seen this because I hadn't seen it until a couple of days ago. That there is a race going on for mayor of New York. Have you seen anything about this?
I've seen some advertisement. It looks like one of the people running is Middle Eastern descent.
You probably know where I'm going then.
Yeah, I have an idea.
Yeah,
let's go with it.
Okay, so there was a debate amongst all of the candidates for mayor of New York. And the question starts off with something I had never heard before, that apparently it's a big deal where the mayor of New York goes for their first foreign visit. And it's about 2 minutes long, and our guy doesn't show up until like probably number 6 or so. But I wanted to do this whole clip because I think it's very important to show this question was asked to everybody and see the reaction for how they did to everyone else versus how they did to this guy.
First foreign visit by a mayor of New York is always considered significant. Where would you go first? Left to right, Ms. Adams.
First visit, I would visit the Holy Land.
Okay, Mr. Lander, sorry.
Boy, what Trump is doing to Canada, there's a lot of opportunities for us to partner better with them.
Ms. Ramos.
I'd love to meet Claudia Sheinbaum, but I'd probably head to Colombia, to my parents' homeland.
Mr. Myrie.
I am a proud son of 2 Caribbean immigrants. I represent a robust Caribbean constituency. I'd like to go to the Caribbean as my first visit.
Mr. Cuomo.
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately we need to focus on delivering on their concerns.
And just yes or no, do you believe in a Jewish state of Israel?
I believe Israel has the right to exist.
Not
as a Jewish state?
As a state with equal rights.
He won't,
Okay.
he
Not
won't
as a
say it
Jewish
has
state.
a right to exist as a Jewish state. Be very
And
clear
his
on
answer was no, he won't visit Israel.
I said that.
That's what he was trying to say.
No. Unlike
No,
you, I
you
answer.
never-
Unlike
you
you, I
never
answer
said
questions
no.
very
Okay.
directly.
All right, I
and
think
I
we're
want to
clear.
be
You
very
answered-
clear. I
you answered-
believe every state should be a state of equal rights.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mamdani. Mr. Blake, where we?
All right. I had no idea there was an election going on for mayor of New York. I had never heard anything about this, but I was shocked to see that clip. That was a wild ride right there. They went through half a dozen people who said, "Oh, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm going here." And what's funny about this, he gave the best answer. He gave
100%.
objectively the best answer.
100%.
I'm running for mayor of New York. I'm going to stay in New York. Like, why?
Thank you. Why the fuck I'm gonna leave the place that I'm trying to reside? Like they was giving TJ, they was giving politically correct answers. Homeboy, the one that made me throw up, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I just got that said I've been to Israel or Jerusalem 5 times. I'm going for my 6th time. Shut up.
Yes, yeah. It started off strong with the first candidate says, "Well, I'm going to the Holy Land," and it just playing right into that and everything. But if I were that dude, I mean, I guess it's not. I don't have to be him. It was a setup question. It was an obvious setup question just to pounce on this guy. No one else got a follow-up question. Other people didn't say they were going to Israel. No one asked them. Kind of weird. They asked the only Arab guy up there. "Oh, hey, what do you think about the state of Israel?" And listen, anyone out there listening, I don't know how you feel about this. I don't really care. But it's the fact that the position that Israel should be a secular democracy with equal rights for all ethnicities, the fact that is a controversial statement is sickening. It's fucking disgusting that you say this out loud. You're like, yeah, I think that the fact that in the Israeli government's constitution, it has the Jewish nation state law basically say, I mean, I'm not summarizing. It says that Jewish people have a unique right to self-determination in the state of Israel. Wild that happens. Think the founding fathers were literal slave owners. Even they didn't put stuff like that in the Constitution, right? It's not there. Mm-hmm. You can't find that shit. And the rights of the Palestinian people is dismissed. It's mocked. It's ridiculed. Their well-being, their safety, their very lives are taken as nothing. And saying this is wrong makes you a bad person to a significant portion of the population, and it's fucking gross. I hate it.
The man called for basically TJ. Let's break it down for morons. Yeah. All he did was call for equality.
That's it.
TJ, at the very basis of what he said, the very basis of what he said was equality for everybody in that land. And for those of you that don't know the history of the land originally was occupied by Arabs. And through the history of that land, Jews came in with the Zionists, took some land, they bought it at first. Then they came back again and started taking land. There was a treaty that was put in place that Israel easily went to because it was going to be a 55-45 thing. Jews get 55%, Arabs are going to get 45%. And the Arabs we're not signing that shit. we're not signing that shit. We was here. Y'all came here, bought land because we didn't have the money. Then y'all came and took land. And that's how we got to the late 80s when we got the fighting and keeping wars going. So to me, I'm bothered that Jews don't understand that they probably don't even know their own history other than what people tell them. You don't understand that being fair and equitable would be to share that land. That's fair. Get some democracy in there and share the land. And for those people to tap dance the way they was doing around Homeboy makes me want to send him some money.
Right? Yeah. I wish I could vote for mayor of New York. I wish I was there because that guy's got my support already. He's already got it. And it is really disturbing because on the one hand, I say this all the time when we talk about the Israeli-Palestine conflict's the wrong word. It's a massacre. But I don't know about you, but when I grew up, we're essentially taught one way to view the situation from childhood, which is Israelis good, Palestinians bad. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's how most Americans are raised. And then you hear that, well, the Palestinians are just terrorists. They're people who want destruction. You read what Ben Shapiro wrote about the Palestinians. He's like, well, the Israelis deserve the land, not the Palestinians, because the Israelis are an advanced culture and the Arabs like to bomb crap and live in sewage water, is what he said. And that's, you can be as racist as you want to the Palestinians, by the way, publicly, and it's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. But I do understand why most people reflexively support Israel, because that's what we're told. If you have to actually do some homework to find out what Lamont was telling you, that the claim that the modern day Israelis have rights to all the land because the land belonged to Jewish people like 2,500 years ago. I think it was like 586 BC, the last time the state of Israel existed, which is really funny because let's use that logic here, right? Let's use that logic.
I got into a debate. I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just say one piece of it.
Yeah.
I brought this up with someone who's making this argument, and you know what I said to them? I said, how would you feel if the natives decided to get them a terror group and start attacking places like Texas and anywhere where y'all gave them a little piece of land when all they want is the whole thing? Floor is yours.
It's the exact same thing. If the United Nations just decided, hey, it's not cool that the Iroquois and the Cherokee and the Sioux and the Choctaw and the Seminoles had all their land stolen from them, we're going to give it back. You think Americans just sit back and let that happen? No. They would rise up and they'd fight. No. That's what the Palestinians are doing. There is no difference. It's the exact thing the Palestinians are doing. Yeah. But people aren't taught that, of course. But what happens is they read about or learn about World War II, and they know, if you have any of a cursory understanding of history, that usually throughout history, well, I say usually, but consistently, Jewish people have been persecuted, they've been massacred, they've been genocided, they've been expelled, they've been like pogroms and stuff, like concentration camps. All throughout history, they're a persecuted group of people. And then you find out what happened in World War II. 6 million people were massacred by the Nazis. And the Zionist movement would have started maybe, I don't know, like 70, 80 years before that. They said, okay, because the Europeans were very anti-Semitic. They didn't want the Jewish people there. And they said, all right, we got to find it's funny reading like where they recommended. Israel wasn't always the first place, the only option. I think Ghana was one. I think Argentina was one.
Argentina, Ghana, Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe? Okay. Yeah, there was, and they settled on Israel. And so people were like, okay, well, I don't feel comfortable attacking a marginalized group. First off, you're not attacking a marginalized group. You're not attacking Jews. That would be bad. Like you're saying, like, hey, Jewish people are bad. Nobody is saying that. Israeli, the nation of Israel, the government and the military of the nation of Israel is not Jewish people. It's not, right? And so I say that's the one thing to worry about. Second, it's interesting that they don't have this energy when it comes to black people, saying that, well, I don't want to attack a marginalized group. Yeah, you do. You guys do it all the time. You have no problem doing it whatsoever. What I do like to say, though, is it's unfortunate that the Zionist movement decided to pick Israel to, expel a population, expel their Jewish population and then massacre another. Because if you ask me, if I were making the decisions, like it was the late 1940s, I would have given Jewish people Germany, right? I mean, that seems to make a lot of sense, right? I mean, the Germans clearly played their hands there and said, okay, you guys don't get a country anymore. You're actually going to get it handed over to the folks you tried to massacre. That seems a lot more fair and a lot more just and equitable. But, the Europeans were anti-Semitic. Like, oddly enough, Israel was created in mass by a bunch of anti-Semites. It's just how it happened.
And TJ, we'll end it here, but you said so much. When I have these debates with people, when I mention Israel and Zionists, you should see the way they look at me.
Yeah.
Some of these people are, I guess the nicest way for me to say it, they're so unintelligent. When I say Zionism, they think I'm talking about bin Laden and Taliban or some stupid shit like that. Like, people have no idea. And the direct parallel before we get you guys out of here is this. If you don't know the history, which is what the Republicans don't want you to know about your own country, you will succumb to hate. You will hate people because you don't understand their plight. You will start believing bull jive that they feed you that might not even be based in the truth of how people got to the position that they're in. Simple as that.
Absolutely. 100%.
TJ, what can the people look forward to on your wonderful TikTok, one of the hottest TikToks in all the United States, ladies and gentlemen?
Shucks, you're too kind. Yeah, you guys can find me at Power is Taken, Not Given on TikTok and YouTube, and the Left Wing Pod on YouTube as well. We do a show Tuesdays and Thursdays going over politics. I'll be doing a TikTok pretty soon about the discovery of the continent of Antarctica. That's not politics, but I like to go off on history and science stuff too. It's pretty fun, so that's going to be pretty good.
I'm going to have to get on one of those with him because y'all know I've got a love for science and history. My
you love it, yeah.
Science. And I love to run my mouth about random stuff like that too because, TJ, one of the things I want to do before I kick the bucket, I want to go to Antarctica.
Oh, cool.
I want to go as far north as I can go in Alaska. As a matter of fact, it was in the news this week because they're trying to do this new pipeline that starts from the very top of the Arctic area of Alaska all the way down. And this is political. I ain't get into it, but Alaska is probably one of the only red places I would ever move to because it lacks so many people that the rules that they have in place are not like your Tennessees and your Texases. Because they pump so much oil, everybody who lives in Alaska gets a refund check. Now, granted, the natives, it was put in place because of the natives that was there. And the natives are basically arguing they want more. And when we had this little meeting of the oil companies this week, of course, that land is predominantly controlled by the natives. And they're basically telling them, we really don't want the pipeline, but if you're going to do this pipeline, the cut that is going to be given to the state, we want it to be 80-20. And look, you got no argument for me.
Mm-hmm.
You got no argument for me, but all that was said to say, I'm that nerd dude. I want to go there, and I want to go all these places where most black folks don't want to go, especially when it's cold.
When it's cold, that's true.
yeah, we got to have these conversations, man. So y'all let us know what you think. That is the link for the podcast. Please go somewhere, leave us that voicemail. That is the link. The link is also in the description. Go check out TJ, and until that next sexy as hell video, y'all, we are out.
Later, guys.
That's another good one in the books.
Good
man.
stuff.